Hi, my name is Martin, and I'm a student at Kingston on the MA for Graphic Design. Today I'm going to be presenting some of the work I completed this semester on the DE7 300 module titled Designing Research. My aim is to showcase that I've met the four desired learning outcomes for the module, which centers around teaching its students to engage with graphic design, not only as a tool for creating, but also to learn how to make use of its research potential. Let's have a look at Learning Outcome 1. Learning Outcome 1 requires me to demonstrate an understanding of the rationale and application of design research methods within project work and supporting developmental materials. Okay, let's break this down. One research methodology that we spent a lot of time with on this module was mapping. Throughout the module, we participated in various mapping tasks, like a task where I was positioning my practice on a framework through which we analyzed our creative work processes. I participated in a collaborative mapping workshop centered around storytelling and placemaking. I explored through mapping how I see myself as a creative practitioner, as well as how I would describe the work I've been doing so far. And I experimented with psychogeography, um, which is a way of exploring places through emotional routing and engaging with a site's culture and history. But we also looked into other research methodologies from archaeology and psychogeography and all the mapping. We covered a broad spectrum of different research methods and experimented with some of them throughout the semester. I even expanded upon the topic of research methods by utilizing techniques not necessarily discussed in the module. For example, I took to my following on Instagram and started an experiment where I tasked people to draw symbols and shapes with associated meanings for one of my projects on the DE700 module and got some research out of that. Let's move on to learning outcome 2, which required me to evidence in project work and understanding of the range of appropriate disciplinary and interdisciplinary research methods available to me as a designer and researcher. I wanted to showcase this through some of the projects I did on the module. My tutor asked me to cook a pancake and share with somebody, all while putting the creation process of the pancake in relation to a flow diagram. Due to my own stupidity, I kind of neglected this task and only realized its relevancy on the day of the hand-in. I obviously didn't have the time, the resources, nor the skill set to actually cook a pancake, so I took to 3D modeling and started putting together my delicious virtual pancake. There is a technique in 3D modeling called baking, which I actually utilized in this project, and I thought that was kind of fitting. Since my pancake is digital, it could easily be shared with a plethora of people and therefore still fulfill the aim of the brief. So my process was like the following: make a pancake, panic because I can't cook and I'm not willing to. Get creative and use the resources that are available to me. Make and bake a digital pancake as well as share it with the world. Moving on, in teaching week 1 of the module, I got tasked with creating a map that represents my thinking and making process as a creative practitioner. This is kind of a follow-up task to the pancake project, just applied to a different context. I started to get to work and sketch out how my process could look by visualizing it through a diagram one of my tutors showed me, a quiz, or just a web of ideas. As I started listing areas of interest related to my work, I got the idea of representing my work as a collection of all my inspirations and influences getting pushed through a funnel into a jar, which is supposed to represent me and my working methodology getting compressed into my final outcome. So I started collecting resources and putting all of my ideas together in a 3D model. I was very happy with this outcome, but couldn't help but notice I strayed off a bit from the brief, which is concerned with mapping out my practice. So I started to develop a diagram out of my 3D render by overlaying my interests over their respective counterparts on the model, and got the solution. I came up with this idea to visualize my creative process through the funneling diagram, where with each step, the quantity of outcomes decrease, kind of like a funnel. So finally, I put this all together in a chart, which was my final outcome for the brief. I got some great feedback telling me that it was interesting how I interpreted and kind of rejected the brief and still managed to find my way back to it. The next step in this project is somewhat related to Learning Outcome 3, so let's have a look at that first. Learning Outcome 3 requires me to demonstrate the effective application of design research methods in formulating concepts and ideas through the exploration of principles, processes, materials, forms, and technologies. To demonstrate this, I put my project through the double diamond and reflected upon my designing process. The double diamond is a framework used for critically analyzing processes through the 4 designing stages of discover, define, develop, and deliver. It's interesting to see through this diagram how I initially tried to follow the project brief, then kind of abandoned it, but still found my way back into it. Through this, I came to the conclusion that whenever I face troubles with a brief annihilating my work, I should just keep on doing what feels right at the moment and have no regards for the brief, because at the core, I'm doing this highly emotional and highly personal work for myself. Let's move on and have a look at another task called mapping the edges of my practice. In this task, I visualize my work as a creative practitioner by drawing onto this template that was given to me by one of my tutors. Because I see myself as a medium that absorbs and transforms information to produce a visual outcome that has an impact on others, I decided to include other people that mimic my appearance and visualize them as outlines next to my avatar. I think this task really helped me with setting a goal of what I want to do and achieve with my creative work. My personal definition of graphic design is that graphic design is a discipline of fine arts that centers around the transformation of information into visual signifiers. Graphic design is about creating a visual language that helps its users quickly identify and digest visual information. Like any other art form, graphic design is striving for aesthetics and is subjected to trends. An interesting struggle in graphic design is striking this balance between aesthetically and informative oriented design. Graphic design has evolved alongside humanity and gotten increasingly more complex and relevant within our lives. With digital graphic design and the means to create interactive design pieces, a whole new world of designs has opened up. But to keep it short and simple, graphic design is powerful. It can influence, evoke emotions, educate, or just be beautiful to look at. Graphic design is awesome. Finally, let's have a look at the last learning outcome, Learning Outcome 4, which requires me to showcase that I engaged in the critical reflection of my own work and in peer review in relation to research methods in design, employing skills of evaluation, contextualization, empathy, communication, and presentation. So for every project we completed on the module, I summarized my thoughts and feelings in a few words, reflecting on what I've done, what I liked, what worked, and what didn't, and what would I've done differently if I had more time. Throughout the module, I received feedback from my tutors and peers, which has been carefully collected and been integrated into my working process. Usually this happened during workshop hours, but I also connected with peers outside of study and also discussed my work with people not on the course. Through this, I gained valuable insights into my work and could improve my work based upon the feedback that I'd received. One project in particular was focused on giving and receiving feedback. I was tasked with writing a project brief, which then was given to one of my peers. They then had 60 minutes to come up with an outcome for the assignment. And afterwards, we had a discussion in pairs about the work we did and graded each other based on the 4 learning outcomes. To summarize all of this, I showcased that I engage with various research methods by not only learning about them, but also applying them to various projects. I finished all the tasks that were given to me in the course and tried to solve them from a creative and innovation driven perspective. After doing so, I recorded all of the feedback I received from my tutors and peers and engaged in critical reflection, and through doing so gained new insights into my work and my making process. Thank you for listening. Bye.